All rise. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, the Putnam County Commission is now in session. The Honorable Ben Rogers presiding. God bless the United States, the state of Tennessee, and this honorable commission. Chairman.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, everybody. Normally District 12 would be leading the prayer and the pledge, but we're going to go ahead. I'm going to lead the prayer, and then we'll get into the pledge. If you'll pray with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings. We ask that we have patience. We ask that we do the best we can to serve our people in this county. We pray that for our officials, our department heads, our employees, be with them always, Lord. Keep them safe. Do a wonderful job for this county, and we love them dearly. Lord, just keep us on the straight path forward and always keep you in our thoughts and every action we take. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice, and all.
Okay, everybody, we are going to start. Do I need to read that again, Jeff? All right, we have to read. Go ahead and do the roll call, and then I'll make sure we have a quorum, and then we'll read the executive order. Mr. Clerk, you call the roll, please.
All right, here we go, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Mr. Christopher?
Here.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Here.
Commissioner Martin?
Here.
Commissioner Jordan Iwanazan?
Here.
Commissioner Jerry Ford?
Here.
Commissioner Teresa Tays?
Here.
Commissioner Jerry Robertson?
Here.
Commissioner Cindy Adams?
Here.
Commissioner Terry Randolph?
Here.
Commissioner Chris Cassidy?
Here.
Commissioner Adam Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner A.J. Donadio?
Here.
Commissioner Grover Bennett?
Here.
Commissioner Danny Holmes?
Here.
Commissioner Ben Rogers?
Here.
Commissioner Jimmy Neal?
Here, sir.
Commissioner Dale Moss?
Here.
Commissioner Joe Iwanazan? Mr. Joe? Are you there, Mr. Joe?
Yes, sir.
All right. Commissioner Kim Bradford?
Here.
Commissioner Darren Wilson?
Here.
Commissioner Kathy Dunn?
Here.
Commissioner Kathy Reel?
Here.
Commissioner Mike Atwood?
Yes, sir. We're here.
All right, Mr. Chair, all 24 are present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I will now read Executive Order 51. Allows us to meet in person. Executive Order number 16, as previously extended by Executive Order number 34, which allows governing bodies to meet electronically regarding essential business as long as they provide electronic access to the public and meet the safeguards established in that order to ensure openness and transparency. It is extended through August 29th to ensure that governmental entities are able to carry out essential business in a safe, transparent way without creating large gatherings in the confined space and endangering persons, particularly those at increased risk of suffering severe illness from COVID-19, while determinations of how best to return to safe, in-person governmental meetings remain ongoing. All right, number 5 on the agenda, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve, Adams.
Second, Donadio.
All right, I have a motion second. Any discussion on the current agenda? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? We have an approved agenda. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve. Second. Second.
All right, we have a motion second on the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes have been approved. Number 7, unfinished business and action thereon by the board. Report of standing committees. Number 1, Planning Committee.
No unfinished business.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Number 2, Fiscal Review Committee.
And no unfinished business, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 3, Nominating Committee.
No unfinished business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Report of Special Committees. Other unfinished business. Okay, moving on to number 8. Quarterly reports and action thereon by the board. We'll do all of these funds in one motion, please. A, Road Fund, Randy Jones. B, School Funds, Corby King. C, County General Fund, Debt Service Fund, Solid Waste Sanitation Fund, Parks and Recreation Fund, and the Self-Insurance Fund. Randy Porter, County Mayor. I have a motion and a second.
Neil.
Any discussion on quarterly reports? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Number 9, new business and action thereon by the board. Standing committees. Number 1, Planning Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Planning Committee recommends approval to adopt the updated Upper Cumberland Regional Airport FAA zoning map, and I so move.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item B, discuss recommendation by the Road Committee to set speed limit at 25 miles for Silas Vickers Road, and I so move.
Second, Johnson.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That completes planning.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Number 2, Fiscal Review Committee.
Thank you, sir. Item A, recommends approval of the budget amendment to the county general fund. I so move.
Adam.
We have a motion second. Any discussion? Okay, we will have to do a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk, whenever you're ready, please.
All right, if you favor the motion, vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Christopher?
Yes.
Mr. Sandlin?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Jordan Alwanison?
Yes.
Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Ms. Tays?
Yes.
Mr. Robertson?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Randolph?
Yes.
Mr. Cassidy?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Donadio?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers, Chairman Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Moss?
Yes.
Mr. Jello Wanison?
Yes.
Ms. Bradford?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Reel?
Yes.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
All right. Anyone wish to change their vote? Mr. Chair, you have 24 voting yes, 0 no, and when the roll was called, that motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Chairman Atwood.
Yes, sir. Item B is to discuss the purchase plan needed for the jail addition.
Okay, if anybody wants to discuss, just say your name. I'll do the best I can to get you in order. Whoever wants to talk, so this is a discussion only. If you want to make a motion, you make a motion. If you want to discuss it, just say you want to discuss.
Christopher discussed.
Commissioner Williams discussed.
Was the first one Commissioner Christopher?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Christopher.
Yeah, I'd like one thing from Randy, if you don't mind, Randy, is just a total cost accounting of everything that the county spent on the parking lot between Spring and Broad Street, acquisition, building, development, all the costs together. I'd just like to have a good understanding of how much that cost compared to how it's being used. And then I just have one comment. A lot of us have voiced pretty strong opinions about meeting this or that. And as I understand it, we don't yet have an option for the property that we are envisioning for the Justice Center area or behind the Justice Center build-out. And I think we need to be careful with what we're saying since we haven't negotiated a position with the other party on that yet.
Commissioner Christopher, I will get you those costs, and the only reason I added number 6 to there is to let you know that they had approached me and they were interested, and that will be for sale. I agree. It's just to let you know that it is going to be available, and then you would need to make a decision at a later date if you decide you want to purchase that one or not. I don't have an option on it yet. That is correct.
Randy.
Yes.
Jim Martin.
Hey, Jim, hold on just a second. I'm sorry. I think Commissioner Williams is next. I apologize, Jim, but I want to recognize an order if that's possible. I'll get you next, okay, Jim?
Okay, sure.
Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My point is only kind of an answer to what Commissioner Ford had said earlier. I think he's probably reasonably correct that many of us do have our minds made up about what we want to do, but there are some details that are outstanding yet, and some of those details may change minds. And with the difficulty we've been having with technology and communication and talking over one another and background noise, I really hope this body will at least postpone any final purchase vote until the September meeting, and strongly encourage the chairman to allow us to meet in person in September so that we can take care of this in a proper manner. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Martin?
Yes, Randy, just in conversation, do you have any suspicion as to what Al's going to be asking for this?
I do not, Commissioner Martin.
Okay. Next question, who was the appraisal? Who did the appraisal or who's going to do the appraisal for Al?
I don't know if he'd want me telling you that or not. I wouldn't want to say that, Jim, without him being okay with that.
Okay, well, that's something we certainly have a right to know.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you after the meeting, and
That'd be fine. You can have after me. I just want to
make sure that he's okay with that, and I think he is, but I wouldn't want to.
Okay. I just because I've dealt with them quite a bit, and some are way more conservative than others. So.
Jeff Jones, our county attorney, said for me to wait. So.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Jim, you guys are going to know about it in September anyway when you're considering parcel number 6 there, so you'll know who.
Yeah. I think that's important to know, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Who's next?
Commissioner Bennett here.
I heard Commissioner Atwood first. Commissioner Bennett, I'll get you next.
Thank you.
Commissioner Atwood?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. In light of the discussion I've had, I'm going to make a motion that we defer this until next month. It'll give us additional time. Prices will be fixed. We know what's going on, and yet we still got another month. So I'm going to make a motion we defer this until the September meeting.
So we have a motion and a second. Motion by Atwood, second by Commissioner Jordan Owanison. Any discussion on this motion?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, Jimmy Neal, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Neal.
Can we do something to say that we are going to vote on it next month and get this over with? This has been going on a long time. If we may be meeting again some other way. I don't know what's going to happen in another month. We keep hearing about cases rising, and I just think we need to get this resolved.
It will be on the fiscal review agenda to consider. It won't be discussed. It will say consider. So it will be voted on in fiscal review, and it will be voted on commission no matter the vote in fiscal review.
No matter in person.
Very good. Thanks, sir.
And then it'll be no matter whether we're in person or, electronically, and we'll talk about that under new business, but either way, it'll be voted on. Anybody else discussion on this motion?
Commissioner Christopher.
Commissioner Bennett, I think that was you, and then Commissioner Christopher, I'll come back to you.
Okay. I also agree that we don't need to talk anymore or make any decisions until we know the value of parcel 6, which was just thrown at us recently. You know, that's part of the whole puzzle, and that's an important piece, so we need to know that before we start deciding if any or whatever we're going to buy. You know, it's just a big piece of the puzzle. The next item is, I think we do need to meet in person next month. If we can ask our children and our teachers to go to school, I think we can safely meet in chambers and discuss this, so that's my 2 cents for it.
We will discuss that under new business. Thank you for your comments. We will get to that, I promise you. I'll let y'all talk all night when we get there. Commissioner Christopher.
Thank you. Mine was along the same lines. I just wanted to explore the use of any sort of video conferencing platform that if we do need to meet virtually again next month, that we at least have the opportunity to share screens and be able to walk through some of the properties and to be able to do it in a more orderly fashion than is allowable via the teleconference option.
We're looking into those options, Commissioner Christopher. Thank you. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Ford.
Yes, Commissioner Ford.
I think it was Commissioner Williams a minute ago made a point that we've been discussing this forever. Everybody's aware of where and what we're wanting to purchase. There's no other land, there's no other way to go. If we don't buy this and we build the jail, there's no place else you can go to get property over there. It's not going to go down, the price is not. We got the best interest rates right now that we could have. I'm for moving on with this. I'm sure it'll probably get voted down to meet in person, but we may not meet in person next month. Then what are we going to do? I said before, and I'll say it again, I think there's not a commissioner here, and I may be wrong, that doesn't already know how they're going to vote on this. And I think we need to go ahead and move on with it.
Mr. Chair, point of order, you have a motion on the floor.
Yes, we do.
And not the other items yet, sir.
Yep, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Try by voice first.
We might as well, Chairman Atwood, we might as well try by voice vote to save us some time. Well, we can actually. Let's do a roll call. Let's just do a roll call. That way it'll save us some time in case we don't understand. So, all right, Mr. Clerk.
Let's make sure you understand the motion. We're voting to move this discussion or the next month to the September meeting. That's what the motion is.
Yes. Mr. Clerk,
please repeat that.
The motion is to move the discussion and consideration to next month's meeting in September. This item will be on the agenda for next month.
Take no action this month.
And take no action this month. Correct, Chairman Atwood?
Yes, sir, that would be right.
Okay. All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
All right, in favor of the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Here we go. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Christopher?
Yes.
Mr. Sandlin?
No.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Jordan Iwanazin?
Yes.
Mr. Ford?
No.
Ms. Tays?
Yes.
Mr. Robertson?
Yes.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Randolph?
Yes.
Mr. Cassidy?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Donadio?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Chairman Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Moss?
Yes.
Mr. Joe Iwanison,
Yes.
Ms. Bradford,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Reel,
Yes.
Mr. Atwood.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Mr. Chairman, according to my calculations, there are 22 yes, 2 no, when the roll is called. Passes to defer.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
All right, Mr. Chair, that concludes fiscal review, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Moving on to nominating committee.
No new business, sir, at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Report of special committees. Resolutions.
There are no resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Election of notaries.
Rosemary Andrews, Charlotte C. Bach, Tammy A. Burrow, Sharon E. Carlisle, Renee Caudill, David Coulter, Teresa Elliott, Lisa Chapman Fowler, April Freeze, Joey Buck Gothard, Jerry L. Hargrove, Rhonda Huddleston, Ashley Hull, Caitlin Kovacic, Anita Ledbetter, Kathy McNeely, Pamela D. Nash, Danielle Nye, April Prophet, Doris Prosser, Shauna Smith, Amy Smith, Monta Welch, Robbie Whiteman, and Laura L. Young.
Motion to approve, Bradford.
Second, Donadio.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the notaries mentioned. Any discussion? Mr. Clerk, you please call the roll.
All right, for notaries, here we go. Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Christopher,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Sandlin,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Jordan Iwanison,
Yes.
Mr. Ford,
Yes.
Ms. Tays,
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Randolph,
Yes.
Mr. Cassidy,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Donadio,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Holmes,
Yes.
Chairman Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Joe Iwanison,
Yes.
Ms. Bradford,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Reel,
Yes.
Mr. Atwood.
Yes.
All 24 voting for. Thank you very much. Motion carries, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We are now moving on to other new business. Number one, recognize cash flow analysis and monthly budget to actual report for the general purpose school fund. We're just recognizing it. Number two, acknowledgement of the fiscal strength and efficient government fiscal confirmation. Letter for 3-star program requirements requires no action but needs to be incorporated into the minutes. Number three, debt obligation report CT-0253 for general obligation school refunding bond series 2020 in the amount of $48,598,000, requires no action but needs to be incorporated into the minutes. Number four, discuss September meeting. Before I open up discussion, I might save you a little bit of time. As chairman, as you know, I have to make some decisions, and these decisions have not come without consulting the people that know a lot more about meeting in person than I do. I've talked with Randy Porter, our mayor, and we will have to probably spend a little bit of money to meet in person. We will have to acquire some microphones for the tables we set out in the middle of the floor for those commissioners that have to be seated there, and that's fine. He's good with that, and I understand that's a cost. My priority as your chairman is not only to run the meeting, give you information, but to make sure your safety is number one and your family's safety. That's one of the decisions that's come in meeting electronic the last couple of months. We haven't had a problem. We've done well until tonight. It's been a struggle, and that's okay. It happens. Nobody's to blame. So I would like to entertain a motion for somebody to say we are going to meet in person next September, given the fact that we can. We don't know what's going to happen between now and then, but given the fact we can, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, Kathy Dunn.
Commissioner Williams, second.
We have a motion to second. Any discussion?
Commissioner Donadio,
Commissioner Donadio, go ahead.
what kind of expenditure are we talking about to be able to do this?
We don't really know, be a few $1,000s.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Porter's gonna look into it and make sure, and there'll be some logistics involved, but that's okay. We'll make sure we get it taken care of.
Commissioner Bennett,
Okay.
Commissioner Bennett, go ahead.
can we not meet somewhere else, such as an auditorium at a school where we can get greater social distancing?
And that is an option, but here's the issue, and of course, y'all know what I do for a living. I work with 13 counties, and one county is gonna do that. Then they realize that the sanitization of that meeting area may not be up to par. And that's one thing we've got to consider too, is we can clean this here, but one thing I left out is if we're gonna meet in person, you're gonna have to follow the guidelines. We're gonna have to wear masks, and we can't be shaking hands and fist bumping and all that. We're gonna have to be as good as we can be, social distance and everything else to follow protocol to meet. So we can meet somewhere else, but we would have to really trust wherever we're meeting at is gonna be clean and sanitary and up to CDC guidelines.
Commissioner Wilson, I got a question. I know that in other meetings I've done the Zoom meetings where that we can actually see each other face to face and then still stay safe and social distancing in our own personal homes or offices, whatever we choose to do. Would that be satisfactory to the rest of the commission?
But based on the input I've had back, I think that I like that. I mean, I've done it before, but with 24 commissioners voting and then others involved, it might be difficult, is the feedback I've gotten.
Mr. Chairman Ford.
Commissioner Ford.
My understanding is the motion is for us to meet in person next month.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, I want to amend that motion that we meet in person next month and we vote one way or the other on the purchase of this property for the jail.
I can't allow that motion because that's going to be on there no matter what, Mr. Commissioner Ford. I promise you, it'll be on there. But I appreciate the amendment, but I can't allow it. It'll be on there. Thank you, though.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more discussion on the motion? Okay, we're just going to do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. We will meet in person. Wait for updates on committee meetings to be the same night. It probably will, but we'll make that official at the point in time. Any other announcements or statements?
Commissioner Bennett has a question.
Yes.
We're at a time right now, real estate is booming, land is selling left and right. Are we taking any steps to sell our fairgrounds while we have a high market?
Commissioner Bennett, I think on the real estate, that's probably residential. I haven't saw any commercial much that's changing hands, but that'd be a decision of the commission. Anytime you want me to put it up, I will. My plan is to wait till we got through this COVID scare and put it up next spring, but if the commission wants to do it before then, I can do it anytime you want to.
Thank you.
Commissioner Donadio.
Go ahead, Commissioner Donadio.
For next month's meeting, is there going to be some kind of a stipulation for anybody who might be going into quarantine, as I may personally be doing that after a day or two?
You have to be, okay, if you're going into quarantine, you won't be able to come.
Okay.
If the executive order is not extended, which I think it will be, my personal opinion, but if it's not, you won't be able to attend electronically if it's not.
But if it is extended, will there be a provision for those who might be stuck in quarantine?
Yes, you can. If the executive order is extended, you can call in. The way I understand it, because I have counties that have had people call in for the meeting and attend in person. So if there's something different, we'll let you know. But as of right now, we don't have that ability because the executive order hasn't been extended.
Sure, I understand. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Ben?
Yes, Commissioner Martin.
Do I hear you saying that you suspect that we will be meeting electronically next month?
No, I suspect the executive order will be continued to allow us to, but we've made a motion and approved a motion to meet in person, so.
Okay, I wasn't sure I understood exactly where you were going with that.
Yes,
Okay,
unless-
explain it.
Unless the governor comes out with an executive order saying we cannot meet in person, and that's the whole reason we won't meet in person.
Or doesn't extend.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes, sir.
I need a little help from Mayor Porter on him appointing the fifth member of the road committee if we don't already have the fifth member.
I don't think that's my appointment. I think that's the nominating in the commission. I think it's been appointed. I just didn't have my book up here with me to tell you who it was, but I'll find out.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anything else from the commission? All right, thank y'all so much. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Have a good evening.